Good morning, I'm Bandy Adamczyk. Today I'm with Noah Archambault and Jack Chamberlain. These two have pro-federal and pro-state views on the legalization of marijuana and if it should be legalized in the United States.
This is 420 Antics.
Hey, good morning, Noah. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, Jack. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. How are the wife and the kids?
The wife and the kids are doing swell, you know.
Sounds pretty good, man.
I heard you're moving recently.
Yeah, man. I'm out of the city, man.
Oh man, not the hood.
Yeah, man. I made it out. I did it for the fam, man. This podcast right here is doing it all for me.
Oh God.
All right, man. Let's get into the episode.
Let's go.
I'm Jack Chamberlain.
And I'm Noah Archambault. And you're listening to 420 Antics.
Before we start, I'm going to throw down some facts. Cannabis is legal for adult use in 19 states and for medical use in 36 states. The legalization is currently being more processed on how it should be decided. I think it should be up to the states, but Noah thinks it should be up to the federal government.
So most Americans have heard how the federal government passed the MORE Act, a bill that would end the federal prohibition on cannabis by removing it from the list of banned controlled substances. This throws the decision in the hands of the states to decide if marijuana should be legalized or not in their jurisdiction.
But that might not be the whole story. I've done some grueling research and I think that Jack has it all wrong. It would be much smarter for the federal government to have control over this issue.
I think the state government should have control over this issue, because with the states being able to choose, then the rule won't be so tedious as if it was federally legal. Also, states that show different interests and beliefs for marijuana can choose for themselves, rather than the federal government doing it for them. Strict laws through state to state would be easier to truly handle than if it was just legal federally and the states still trying to be against it.
It might be easier for the states to decide, but the federal government should definitely have control over this issue. Due to the states having different opinions on marijuana use, it is causing conflict. It is very easy for someone to travel across a state border to a marijuana legal state and buy marijuana. The federal government should legalize it. There was over 13,000 people arrested in 2021 for possession of marijuana, and those numbers could be cut by a lot if it was federally legalized. Article 6 favors the federal side. Article 6 pretty much says that if a state and federal law conflict each other, then the federal law must prevail. Many Americans supported the legalization of marijuana. In fact, only fewer than 10% of U.S. adults think that weed should be not legal at all.
I think the legalization of marijuana should follow the 10th Amendment.
Nope.
Okay. Anyways, the 10th Amendment is the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. This basically says that the federal government only has those powers delegated in the Constitution. If it isn't listed, it belongs to the states or the people. This said, I think the authority should just be up to the states because it's simpler.
It's not simpler though.
Why don't you think it's simpler?
Because you have 50 different states having 50 different opinions. So if the national government just had control, it would be one.
I see that, but this also gives more power to the states as well.
Okay.
Dinner, dinner, dinner. Every day you have to think of what's for dinner. Well, now Subway has a solution that is sure to please every person you have to feed for that last meal of the day. It's called Dinner Tonight. Every day after 4 p.m., Subway is offering a Dinner Tonight special, which includes 2 regular 6-inch subs, 2 bags of chips, and 2 21-ounce fountain drinks, all for just $11.99. This offer is available all day long on Sundays. Subway of Kodiak. Eat fresh.
Thanks for that quick commercial break. Now back to 420 Antics.
All right, I have a related court case here.
What is it?
It's Gonzalez versus Rack. It's started after the Drug Enforcement Administration seized doctor-prescribed marijuana from a patient's home. It was a decision by the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that under the Commerce Clause of the United States Constitution, Congress may criminalize the production of use of homegrown cannabis even if a state law allows its use for medicinal purposes. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court determined that Congress may criminalize the production of homegrown cannabis even if a state law protects its growth and consumption for medical purposes.
That is a good point, Noah, but since then, the laws have changed, and the U.S. House of Representatives passed the MORE Act, which is a bill that ends the federal prohibition on marijuana. And then it leaves it up to the states, which is working great, and some laws are being formed, like in Connecticut. On June 22nd, 2021, their Governor Lamont, signed a Senate Bill 1201, which legalized adult use cannabis in Connecticut.
I see. But Jack, do you know McCulloch versus Maryland?
Nah, tell me all about it.
All right, so Maryland passed a law to impose taxes on the bank. The court unanimously decided in favor for the national government. Congress mentions the necessary and proper clause, and the Chief Justice mentions that Congress possesses power not outlined in the Constitution. This indeed supports my case. The federal government has the power to fully regulate marijuana use.
Oh yeah, I do remember McCulloch versus Maryland. We learned that in AP GoPo with Mrs. Peck. I do see how that stands a good point, but that still makes it really complicated, and that's, I don't think, a direct comparison. That's why I think my point with the MORE Act and the law in Connecticut stands a better point.
All right, for all the potheads that tune in to 420 Antics, you've all had the chance to hear both sides of the story. Should the national government or should the state government be in control of marijuana laws?
It's definitely the state government.
I got the national. That just about wraps it up for us here at 420 Antics. On today's episode, we learned all about the controversy between the marijuana legalization and who should decide it.
Thanks for joining us today. Signing off for 420 Antics, I'm Jack Chamberlain.
And I am Noah Adam Marshall.
And until next time, you're listening to 420 Antics.
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day. You ready for the next episode? Snoop Dogg. You know I'm mobbing with the D.R.